So we had dropped off the radiator in hopes that somebody made a replacement for it, something that would just drop right in. Hopeful that that's the case because AMC, they used a lot of parts from a lot of different suppliers. So let's ask and see if there was anything we could find. Was there anything that would drop in?
No. Went through the book, all the pictures, nothing.
Wow. Okay, so what's our option? We got to recore it then? To basically build
so we're going to actually record.
Build a custom radiator, in essence, using our tanks.
Well, we're going to reuse your tanks, and I noticed that they do have stamps in them, so that'll keep the authenticity of it. And what we have is, this is the style core that is in there now, but to add better cooling, we're actually going to upgrade it to a high efficiency. So as you can see, there's a lot more tubes and more fins per inch.
Yeah, we definitely want that because we're going to be driving this thing all over, and during the summer it has air conditioning in it. Once it gets warm, we're going to want to get that up and running. So needs to be able to sit in traffic on a hot day with the air conditioning going. We want as much cooling as we can get.
Yes.
Let's go out to the shop and get this thing record.
Since we're going to go with a recore, we're going to have to strip off these tanks. Then we're going to have to measure it up and figure out exactly what the correct size is to fit around these tanks. So we're going to drip out all the solder off in order for me to pop off these tanks, and then pretty much there we're going to get a core ordered, then be ready to put the tanks on after we get it off. All right.
So the fill side finally popped off, and here's the interesting part to it. It has a transmission cooler. Now you think transmission cooler, it's this big elaborate thing. It's really not. Take a look. That's it right there. That is the entirety of the transmission cooler. Line hooks up there, and it's just a hollow tube that the transmission fluid goes through. The water washes over, cools it down, comes right back out. There's really not that much to it. There's all kinds of crud here in the here on the tubes. So what about that? I mean, is that typical, or what does that do?
It's typical in a lot of older radiators. So if it's an original core like this, you're gonna usually see that all the years of work are put in. So all this buildup, those could possibly seal leaks that you've had for a while. Well, as soon as you start putting pressure to it and you start beating on it, it'll break free all those leaks that didn't show up as initially.
Okay, so now that the tanks are off, what we're going to do is measure up the core, send those dimensions off to a place that's going to make us a new custom core. Then what are we going to do, Lawrence?
And then from there, we're going to take your tanks, we're going to clean it all up, get so the edges are all cleaned up and tinned up so we can have them bond back onto your next core, and then we'll resolder all the connections so it's all fresh solder.
Now it's going to make this Pacer run and ride nice and cool down the road. We'll be able to take it out in the middle of summer, run the air conditioning, and look cool doing it. So a couple days ago when we were here at Radiator Creations, we found out that there wasn't a replacement radiator for our AMC Pacer. We had to have one custom made. That core is now here, but the next step is to solder the tanks on, maybe even put a little reinforcement in there, build it up a little better than even the custom core that was built. Add some extra strength to that, get the tanks soldered back on, pressure test it, make sure it's all sealed up good, then we can take that radiator down, back to the museum, get it in the Pacer, and get that car on the road again.
Right now, I'm putting a little flux on the core. It'll allow me to, it'll allow the solder to move a little bit better. So yeah, I'm going to be building up these tubes to reinforce, and it'll increase the durability of your radiator overall. Expand a little bit better so it'll slide right into the seam as soon as I throw these clamps on. My girlfriend.
Your wife?
Yeah, she knows I work on radiators, but she doesn't know anything about radiators, so this would be a pretty nice thing for her. We're gonna pop the fill neck off, and we're gonna clean out all the debris underneath, and then we're gonna put some fresh solder back onto it. It's nice to grab the clean solder.
So Lawrence has gone over this and added a lot of extra strengthening to weak spots in the radiator. Has gone over and double checked all of the joints, redone them, made sure that they're good to go. But before we put this in the car, Lawrence is going to take this, rig it all up again, and put air to it, and we're going to pressure test it. Hopefully there's no bubbles like there was last time. So we started up, we're gonna let it warm up again and recheck the radiator. We're also gonna let it warm up and check the transmission fluid. Pretty good. The Pacer is warmed up a little bit and we found a leak. It's not in the radiator, it's in the radiator cap. We need a new one.
I'm just wondering if that. There you go. Okay.
Well, that answers that question if we had a good radiator cap or not.
We need a new one now.
I'll take the broken parts down, get us a new one, then we can once again warm this car up, make sure that the radiator is full, and then start taking it for laps around the parking lot.